Hey everybody, People's Cat. This is the third Armchair Prepper Reads series. After London, 1885, written by Richard Jefferies. Anyway, it is 1885. Most of the beginning of the book, you see what I've marked is what I'm interested in from a prepping point of view, is just talking about flora and fauna using Darwinism to see how things would devolve. The setup of the book isn't really explained. There's some suggestion all the rich people left and never came back. Wherefore, why, nobody says. But there is some interesting little bits in it. The old men say their fathers told them that soon after the fields were left to themselves, a change began to be visible. It became green everywhere in the first spring after London ended, so all the country looked alike. And as I said, the guy's really interested in botany and heavily influenced by Darwinism. So the beginning of the book really is just listing the different types of animals that now exist that devolved or evolved from domestic animals. As I said, the book doesn't specify what the apocalypse is. It's interesting that the stresses and fears of the day, class warfare, etc., etc., pollution to some degree in London, actually come up in the text of the day, and I think that's definitely true with today. All that seems certain is that when the event took place, the immense crowds collected in cities were most affected, and that the richer and upper classes made use of their money to escape. Forward on a bit. So what it really is he says that the people that survived this unspecified apocalypse are mostly the uneducated, mostly rednecks, I guess. So education is preserved only by nobles who rule everybody with a rod of iron in a very feudal system and are not very smart, and they hate innovation. And humanity itself, which is the interesting part of this book, is devolved into different types of strain. Bushmen who wander around, gypsies that wander around, fishermen, shepherds, they all have their little jobs. And this is the interesting about reading and writing, because only the nobles have this, and you have to be a noble to be able to read and write, and if you're not a noble there's no point reading and writing, and if you find out they'll kill you. All knowledge is thus retained in the possession of nobles. They do not use it, but the physicians, for instance, who are famous, are so because by some favour of some baron they have learned receipts in the ancient manuscripts that have been mentioned. So it's archaic language. England has a huge lake in the middle of it, and this is England, not Great Britain, gets that right. And some guy who's a minor noble, who's a somewhat angry character, goes on a walk via a canoe, has some adventures with the nobles of the time, ends up sort of succeeding in actually getting to London, which is one of the interesting things of the book, because London's almost supernaturally poisoned, and then starts to create his own kingdom, I guess, but on a more benevolent upper class level. And then the book just ends. Like, it ends with him going back to meet his lady love who set him off on this journey in the first place, and that's it. So that's After London. I'd rate this a 1 out of 5, mostly because the story isn't powerful and I don't really care about the characters, and there's very little here of any interest for a prepper. As an historical document, 1885, it's interesting to see where apocalypse fiction came from in the modern era, and this is definitely apocalypse fiction. Just doesn't really explain the apocalypse and spends more time talking about medieval England in the apocalypse, which may be valid. There are some indications in the book of how to defend yourselves in a post-apocalyptic world that's now devoid of any information or knowledge of gunpowder, so that's kind of interesting. However, if any of my subscribers would like an unused copy of this, because thanks to me I managed to buy 2 by mistake, make a comment below asking for it, and then email me at my email address with a valid postal address anywhere in the world, and I will send the first person who comments and requests a copy of it, a free copy of After London. Au revoir.